Welcome everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, December 5th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread. First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our 5 of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Cups in its reversal. We are in the retrograde. We are deep in the retrograde. I'm not surprised to see cards like this rising to the surface. There's a lot of introspection and relationality to the past that is occurring right now. A lot of this work facilitating forward in this fashion. But what is the beauty of this work right now? One of the things that we recognize and identify is when we hold to the past lightly, we hold that open palm onto the past, that ability to perceive something in a different way. This is what is allowing for a lot of that breakthrough work to occur. It's heavy. It's difficult. It's hard because this isn't the energy that is looking towards the past from a state of energetic illusion, right? Not trying to change the past as it relates to one's own desire or aspiration of what it appears to be. This is a lot of the energy that is looking back upon the past with that sense of clarity, working through, facilitating and recognizing. That isn't easy stuff, right? Because this is I want to say there's a lot of this energy that's working on not overly romanticizing the past, right? This is like allowing for that healthy degree of nostalgia, if you will. What is healthy nostalgia? Healthy nostalgia is looking back at a past that you may have desired or aspired energetically different outcomes, but you don't hold on to them so tightly that you're trying to like make the square peg fit into the round hole. You're just being energetically observant of what you see. And a lot of that point, this is a lot of the balance that we were recognizing and identifying that was coming through in the cards over the last few days, right? That weighing, if you will. Because a lot of this energy is looking back at the past, not in relationality as to whether you feel an energetic connection to it, but that observation point in whether something has changed, right? This is a lot of that work, remember? This is a lot of that work that we saw to a certain extent in that understanding and parsing out the feeling or the adaptability of what has changed versus what is in that state of not changing. That's the beauty, right? That's the beauty of these retrograde periods. We get frustrated. It's so easy to get frustrated when the past arrives back to us, present, tangibly or metaphysically. But that observational point in either looking at the past and seeing something that has changed, either outside of the self, right? That might facilitate an energetic change, or within the self that would permit for change to be possible. This is the energy that builds into the pathwork of appreciation for change, because when we're on that pathwork of working towards our highest version of self, we welcome change, right? We welcome that sense of exploration. We welcome that sense of introspection. And this has a lot to do with that same conversation, those same lessons that we began to work through with the combination force of the Taurus full moon in Scorpio. What is integral versus what is adaptable, right? This is occurring right now across all the frequencies in different ways. We're going to get our center card right now to get some clarification on how it is impacting those frequencies differently. Center card for our today's spread is, what are we talking about? This is that change card, right? This is the card that we see when there is change to be introspected and recognized. We have here our death card. And again, understanding that force of change. That inflexibility point between what is integral versus what is adaptable. A lot of that I want to say the recursive energy that's coming back right now, even in relationality to some of those energetic lessons that we began during that most recent cycle. Coming into that Sagittarius new moon, you'll remember like the Sagittarius new moon is now feeling almost like a point of energetic frustration being in the retrograde, because the the Sagittarius new moon is like starting gate energy, right? The energy of the Sagittarius wants to get started. They want to leap forward. And a lot of this feeling of being energetically held back, or feeling that recursive energy that we often experience during the retrograde cycles, it's leading to contemplation. It's leading to concentration. But that's why it's really important right now, not just to feel the frustration, right? Because when we feel energetic frustration, we limit ourselves. We only navigate the top surface of our emotionality. We allow that emotionality to drive us forward. This is requiring that deep diving. You'll remember that a few weeks, like days ago, we talked about the fact that this is the energy, this is the lesson that was occurring deep within divine union that's reaching across the other frequencies right now. Because this is that same work that says, not operating from a state of how you feel, but working on the intentionality, observing the emotions, asking the emotions, why are you frustrated? What do you have to say? What are you protecting? What are you defending? There's a lot of this energy right now that is navigating that territory between the validation of emotions. And when we feel that sense of validating emotions, we have to go through that process of internalizing them within the self, because it's not to say that emotions are not valid, right? Emotions are valid depending upon whether they're coming from the place of the ego or whether they are coming from the integral higher self, right? The ego's got a lot of emotions. The ego has got a lot of emotions, right? The ego is all emotions, right? But that ability of introspecting upon them to a certain degree, that ability of looking at them and trying to say, where does that spring forth from, right? That ability of doing so right now, we see even now, there's energy that is either like repairing things via shedding the energetic ego, or there are energies right now that are feeling validated in what they feel, because what they energetically feel, they've recognized is not coming from the ego. It's coming from a state of energetic integrity. Now, this could create some volatility, right? This could create some volatility because, again, if you're navigating something where you're feeling an emotional feeling that is integral, but you feel like you're navigating something with someone who you feel like the emotionality is coming more from their space of the ego, you can see that that can feel, that it can look very similar from the outside, but it creates something more difficult on the inside. And a lot of this work I keep seeing right now, this is what is allowing for that resolution of the past to a certain degree right now. There's a lot of karmic clearing that I see is occurring right now during this particular retrograde cycle for this very reason. And for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but deep within divine union, recognizing and identifying what that work is, like working through that. This is the energy that is experiencing, I want to say even now, there's a lot of breakthroughs that are potentially occurring at this time. There's a lot of transformation that is occurring right now for energy deep within divine union. And some of that is like that is the energy that lets go of the past, so they have their hands free to clasp on to the future to a certain extent. Like I just see, like even now, there's a lot of that. Like there's a lot of that work here as it relates to expansion, but it's difficult because this is the energy that is questioning themselves every step of the way. But why is the energy questioning themselves? They're questioning themselves because they care. They're questioning themselves because they are moving from a state of not wanting their ego to be the place from which they're moving from, but rather letting the integrity of their purpose guide them. So a lot of this work is allowing for adaptability to occur. It's allowing for transformation to occur, but it's heavy stuff. It's uncomfortable. It's navigating discomfort, right? But again, how do we come into spaces of transformation? Do we move away from that discomfort, or do we break through it? I would be very curious to know where Cancer is right now, because this is a lot of that Cancerian journey that we also see that often happens. The Cancer energy that wants to that feels the discomfort and wants to go deep, into the self, but really needs to kind of expand. So there's a little bit of that work here of expansiveness, but it's frustrating, right? Because it's like pushing against a wall while you're trying to have a breakthrough. It's requiring a little bit of that sense of repetition and feeling things out. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing for the energy coming into divine union, I told you, this is energy outside of the divine union, navigating the discomfort that coming into divine union is creating, because I see even now a lot of that energy bringing something forth where something was not. There may be a lot of argumentation about the intensity of an energetic connection. And what's difficult about this is I see even now there could be friendships that are ending right now. There could be circumstances or situations of fracturing that's occurring, because in this modality of something that feels very energetically secure, working through that to a certain degree, having those experiences wherein you feel the turbulence outside of something, bringing something forth into tangibility. I see even now there may be wounds that are occurring outside of the connection, because it's the observation of how one is experiencing and feeling the transformation, whether it is something that is being welcomed or whether it is something that is experience, that is another person outside of the energetic connection trying to create disruption towards something that feels like it is integral. So I can see even now there's a little bit of that frustration. But is this the energy that's focusing on the outside? No, it feels like it's fortifying. It feels like it's reaffirming their own determination as it relates to recognizing that when we move forward on a pathwork of purpose, we have to be ready to disappoint others whose purposes might not be aligned towards in the same way as ours. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is like a letting go process is what I'm seeing. And a lot of it, everything I keep seeing has to do with the ability to hold the past, right? This isn't the past. This isn't the energy holding on to the past from a place of creating bitterness by holding on to it too tightly. This is not the energy that's letting go of it entirely and pretending something didn't energetically happen and losing the viability of a valuable lesson. Because when we say, when we let go of our past, we're not building an appreciation of how far we have come. So I see even now there's a lot of this energy that's working on integrating their past, all for the sake of being able to move forward, because this is that reminder point that you don't need to wait until you're healed to move forward. We're always healing. We're never fully healed, right? That determination point of being ready. You're ready at that moment that you say, I am ready. And usually when you say you're ready, you ever try to leave to go somewhere? You're not ready. You're not ready. You don't feel ready. Or you say you're ready because they have to be ready, right? There's a little bit of that energy go, okay, I'm ready. I have to be ready, which means again, I'm not in that space. I'm able to move my attention elsewhere, right? Continuing to get clarification. And I see even now, this is bittersweet, because I see a lot of that energy right now, feeling that sense of transformation, feeling that force of change, that inevitability that's firm. And this is the articulation of a lot of those connections that are forming, right? Welcoming the change. Next two cards in our 5-card spread, before we start getting clarity on these cards, we've got, all of the past cards are here today, guys. Oh, we've got our four of, and this is, I want to know where Cancer is right now, because again, this feels like a lot of, especially with this, the Hermit card in its reversal. This is crabby. This is cranky energy today. I'm just going to warn you, everybody's cranky. Everybody's cranky today. So we've got here our four of swords in combination with our Hermit card in its reversal. Just everybody might be cranky today. Just remember, it's the vibe. because even here, like this is like navigating, and I got to tell you this right now, like discomfort inspires change, right? Discomfort inspires change. And so even now, not dwelling in the discomfort, but allowing it to, but creating adaptability, everything I keep seeing here right now is like we've got, and that's why I want to know where the Cancer placements are, because I'm getting a lot of the same message that we saw during the Cancer cycle, which is like, when you're in that process of growth, like you're going to have that moment that it feels like everything's coming apart or everything is uncomfortable. And then you just kind of break through from it and you're like, oh, that's better. Like, it's like, it's like a little bit of that, it's a little bit of that energy here. And a lot of it, the one thing I think that is positive, that is helping with this retrograde, is something about the slowing down with the combination of the Sagittarius new moon. Because I told you, the Sagittarian energy is experimental. The Sagittarian energy is introspective. The Sagittarian energy is very much in that facilitation point of saying it's not if, it's just how. Right? It's not like, that's the beauty of the Sagittarius message. It's like, it's not if, it's just how. Like, how much is it going to take? Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of that type of energy here. So we see even now that there's a lot of this energy that's kind of in that state or space of calibration, if you will. Now, for the energy in separation, this is the energy that is navigating the discomfort of transformation, but not shying away from it. It's coming out of your comfort zone. It stinks, right? It's not comfy. I can see even now, like a lot of this energy, like moving forward and being like, and I got to point out, there's a lot of energy right now. It's in healing, that is healing trust wounds. And what's difficult about healing trust is it requires a leap of faith, right? But I see even now that a lot of that energy is not in a space of taking a leap of faith. It feels to me like a lot of this energy in separation is recognizing that when we're healing in a positive space with energy that is also healing the wounds of trust, the gift we give each other is not making it feel like a leap. We hold each other as we do so. So I see even now, like if there's trepidation or fear there, the energy that's moving forward together is almost a mutual articulation of that fear, the mutual articulation of that anxiety. Because I see even now, like this is the energy that's like healing from those wounds to a certain extent. It's requiring that step out of one's comfort zone. But I have to point out, this isn't the energy that's just taking like a wild leap. This is the energy that's like testing the waters, if you will. Right? This is like like walking on the ice to make sure, like, it's like, I can see the energy in separation, like tapping something with their foot, being like, is this solid? Is this solid? And it requires like, it requires that, like that trepidation, this is campfire energy. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing that's coming into divine union is why we see that there's testiness here. This is a lot of testiness right now for the energy coming into divine union. Why do we see so much testiness potentially occurring right now for energy coming into divine union? Because if this is energy that has been doing a lot of work to repair something, right? If this is, we've been seeing even now for a lot of this energy coming into divine union, getting under the hood of the partnership, like reaching for wrenches, like patching holes, like doing a lot of this, like this is the thing, like I see even now a lot of this energy coming into divine union. This is why they're saying the audacity and trying to navigate that with a sense of compassion, because I just keep seeing that this is energy that a lot of these partnerships that are coming into divine union right now, it wasn't just smooth sailing. This is energy that's been doing like a lot of repair work, So that ability of someone looking at something and saying like, you're going forward with that, like a little bit of that, like that sense or space. This is why the energy might be taking it personally, because it's either clarifying, it's trying to clarify to someone the nature of something as opposed to what it may look like on the outside, right? And having to navigate others, navigate others' doubt, having to navigate potentially even others' assumption of the past version of self, because these are the energies that have been working on themselves as they come into divine union, right? That sense or space of when we say to someone, no, something's different, we don't mean something's different with them. We mean these are the energies that are saying something is different with me. Like, this is the energy going, something is different with the self. So you can see why this is the energy that may take that, like trying to navigate that energetic discomfort. It's like not like trying to let that be educational moments, which is a little bit of that sense of like walking that thin line, if you will, and saying like, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I'm also very energetically observant in relationality to like what is observed versus what you're bringing forth towards me, right? There could be some, I keep getting some like misperceptions that are occurring around partnership right now that's moving into divine union. And that feeling of like creating doubt, right? This is the energy that also feels that amplification force of, again, the difference between when someone says, I want what's best for you versus I know you know what is best for yourself, right? So a lot of that energy working in that context, we see even now, like there's a lot of that nuance that is potentially occurring. I told you, it's like that ice, like it's like the ice being like thin again. It's like something energetically being on thin ice, or someone being on thin ice as energy is moving deeper into divine union. While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, this is the energy that is just, there's clumsiness today. It's frustrating because it's just clumsy energy. And even here, we see that like navigating that to a certain extent, this is why it's just frustrating, because this is the energy that is feeling like something that is clumsy and recognizing ways to create efficiencies. Like there's a lot of honing down that's happening right now. There's a lot of refining, if you will, but it's difficult because refining, it often requires you to get frustrated enough with something that you just go ahead and fix it, right? Like sometimes you have to have like a little bit of clumsiness around something a few times, be like, I'm tired of this. This is not the last time this is going to happen, right? Continuing to get clarification between our 5 of swords in its reversal in combination with our 8 of cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, clarification coming through right now. Oof, with that hangman energy. We saw this energy earlier this week, right? We saw this energy earlier this week. So it's like, it's this nail biting, like, like that's what I mean. Navigating frustration today, and a little bit of that. I want you to have like a point of appreciation for yourself as you're taking that journey. Because if these are experiences or modalities that we're seeing right now, wherein energy is navigating breakthroughs, right? Sometimes you have to reach that point of frustration, such so that you're willing to just like do anything to adjust or modify it. That's the Sagittarius full moon. This is the hangover of the Sagittarius full moon butting up against this retrograde and not liking it, right? It's like the horse that wants to get out of the stable. It feels a lot like that. And so a lot of that, navigating that frustration, this is why we see that so much of this energy here, it's allowing for innovations, it's allowing for breakthroughs, but it's like you got to get frustrated sometimes before you got like the oomph, the energy, like the energy, like how'd you do it? I just punched it until it it's funny because we saw yesterday was about nuance, and now this is more like yesterday. I told you yesterday was like the careful decision as to like what required a fine-tuned hand versus like what required like a lot of force. And so today we see more of that like energetic force here being like, I tried to do this, and then I tried to be real careful with it, and I just decided to like knock it down, So working through that to a certain extent today, let that frustration inspire you. Don't suffer through it mindlessly. Let it kind of like, let it hone one's own focus, as it were. And that's the big message for the energy deep within divine union today. Like patience, man. Just be patient. I want you to have patience today. It might feel like a little bit like the patience of Job, but some days are like that. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energy that we see, like that's the energy that I see as being patient to a point. That's why I see the energy as being patient to a point, which I see even now as saying to someone, I'm happy to correct you on something. But if it persists, then that wasn't a misconception. That is a desired direction. And that's why I see even now there's something that's very important that's happening for the energy coming into divine union right now, because something about that modality, that nuance of, and this is why, because this is, I have to point this out, this is energy coming into divine union that is very proud of the journey of the self, that is allowing for they like to come into divine union. And this is why if someone, is saying something flippant about that, or saying something that feels like it's oppositional to it, this is why the energy is not allowing the ego to get in the way, right? This is the energy that's almost saying to someone, I'm giving you that opportunity because I recognize that I have also changed a lot. I'm reintroducing you to where you find me. And that's why I hear the energy coming into divine union saying, I'm happy to clarify once, but more than once is the opposite of the difference between a misconception versus a desire to drive something into a different direction. So that's why I see even now, like there's a little bit of that nuance that it's occurring right now as it relates to patience for energy coming into divine union at this time. While for energy that is in separation, this is the energy. There are new connections that are starting right now, and they're slow, painfully slow. But the reason that slowness is there is because this is the energy that is putting in consideration for the trust that is being restored. And when we're restoring trust, like that's the thing, when trust is broken, it takes a long time to restore trust. Because when you're trying to restore trust, it feels like you're making a mistake every step you take in trying to heal it, right? It feels like you're repeating the same mistake, especially if trust is what was broken in the first place. So this is why I see these energies are giving each other the grace of that trepidation, because these are energies that are healing trust as they forge forward in those connections. So a lot of that hesitancy is the rebuilding of the ability to be intimate and to trust in that intimate energetic process. Continuing, and that's slow work, but it's necessary. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Cups in its reversal. There's a lot of energy. I gotta say, there's fear here. There's anxiety I see that is being resolved in the energy and separation. And a lot of it has to do, much like we just articulated, that feeling that when we're trying to restore trust or we're trying to heal trust, it often feels like we're taking a step in the same direction that hurt us, right? It can often feel so painful when we're trying to rebuild trust because it feels like every step we take, we're walking towards our own demise, right? This is the energy that's like literally trying to restore trust. And in the act of restoring trust, it feels like they're like, I am headed towards my own demise potentially, because this is the energy that feels the anxiety of the lessons of the past. And this is why I'm going to say again, this is the message for the retrograde. Don't let the past overshadow the possibility of the present. Let the shadow of the past inform you. Stare into it, recognize the nuance, and identify the difference. And that ability of doing so, noticing the energetic differences potentially of a past that demanded trust, right? Versus the energetic equivalent of working towards building trust, right? With counterpart. These are the energies that are heading towards each other carefully, because these are the energies that hold each other and partnership with care. And they're very conscientious as it relates to who they allow towards them, because they're saying to themselves, I need to be conscientious as to who is close to me because I'm in a state of healing, right? And when we're in a state of etheric or spiritual healing, much like we would if we were like having like a tangible wound, we are very conscientious as to who we allow close to ourselves, because we're trying to make sure that we stay in a state of not losing the progress that we've made on our healing journey. Well, for a lot of this energy right now, in coming into divine union, this is the energy that says, I think this is why the energy is trying not to take something personally if they're moving deeper into partnership. And at that time, someone has something untowards to say about it, because this is the energy that recognizes how far they've come to come into union. So this is why the energy is trying to make something an educational moment. And that's why I see the energy being very like biting their tongue to a certain extent and saying, I'm going to give you the grace of recognizing that you may not understand where I am. But after that, but after that, it's not a misconception. It's a frustration as it relates to the direction, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, moving deeper, deep within divine union, navigating these energetic hurdles right now, this just feels like a lot of repair work, and it's frustrating. It's annoying. It's annoying. It just feels more like navigating annoyance. And this is, I'm going to give, and this is funny because I told you, these messages move back up and down the frequencies. Remember the message that was coming through so strongly for the energy and separation yesterday? What was the message that was coming through for the energy and separation yesterday? If you find yourself on a path work that you didn't expect to be on, don't be sitting there with your head down grumbling. Look up, right? So I see even now that a lot of that energy is looking at the bright side of an energetic inconvenience and potentially finding a breakthrough in the process. So I'm going to say the same thing that I said to the energy and separation, now to the energy that's deep within divine union. Don't feel frustrated. Get inspired. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. And then you won't have to worry about it anymore. Just figure out what that is. Come forward with those new plans. Let those new, and it feels a little clunky today, right? It feels like kind of utilizing what you have and making the best of it. But that works too. We're making the best. We're doing the best that we can with what we have at our disposal. Continuing to have clarification between our death card in combination with our 4 of swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. There you go. There got the devil card in its reversal. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it works. It's fine. It's good. It's fine. It's a little bit of that type of energy today. Remember, perfect is the enemy of done. Okay? Perfect is the enemy of done today. That's your message, especially for the energy deep within divine union. If it works, it works. If you got to use some gum to fix it, I'm not going to tell anybody. You don't have to tell anybody. Whatever works, works. That's your way of doing it. Remember that. And if something, that ability of doing something, remember that when something doesn't go right and we fix it the way we can fix it, now it's yours. That's what I like to say. Now that one is yours. There's nothing else now in the world like that one, right? I always love that because when that's what we talk about with Wabi Sabi, right? That sensor space that when we repair something, then it becomes even more ours because we put our own energy into it, right? It becomes precious in that way because now only one, there's a bunch of those that's perfect, but now there's only one that is exactly like that, right? And that is why, do you understand? This is why the energy coming into divine union is feeling a little salty right now, right? This is why the energy coming into divine union might be feeling a little salty if someone is throwing stones at the partnership that they're creating or they're articulating that they're coming into. Because this isn't the energy, you have to bear in mind, this isn't the energy that says this is a mess, but hopefully if we move it deeper into connection, we'll fix it. This is the energy that's moving something into the tangible space because they feel the empowerment of how much they've fixed something and they want to secure it into the tangible space. So this is the energy that's trying to articulate to someone and saying, no, 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 we're not doing this to fix it. We're doing it because it is ours and we have. And that is why the energy is feeling a little salty if someone is looking at that and like rolling their energetic eyes, or feeling like there is an energetic repetition that is occurring at this time. And this could be leading to like a little bit of that, I told you, a little bit of that static outside of the energetic connection, which is why I keep hearing once is a misconception, twice is a desire for a different direction, right? So that's what I just keep seeing right here that's creating a little bit of that volatility. While for a lot of this energy and separation, this is the energy going, I know which direction I'm headed. I know which direction I'm headed, right? And this is the energy that keeps looking and holding the past with an open palm. And this is the energy that's, why are the energies holding the past with an open palm? Because this is the energy that takes their other palm and says, hold my hand. This is hard. I know it. We're both trying to do this work. It feels like we're making a mistake every step of the way because we found each other at a point of healing. And when we're at a point of healing and we're trying to rebuild trust again, it's terrifying because we're worried about the past that is going to repeat itself. But that fear, that anxiety is what is fortifying the energy that's moving forward in this way, because this is the energy that is recognizing that care as someone that is careful about themselves, careful and mindful of their energy. And this is why that is the energy that sees the trepidation and feels fortified in the process, because this is the amplification of the care that someone is putting into building into a connection, as opposed to taking something lightly, not like taking something and being like very flippant about it. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Swords in its upright in combination with our Hermit card in its reversal. This card sliding. Did you see that? Slid out like butter. And it's the Queen of Wands in its reversal. Okay, listen, I just got to say this. We had masculine energy the last few days. The energy's been hard. Like the last couple of days reading, how many cards did we have in the reversal for we had a lot of cards in the reversal for masculine yesterday, right? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Yesterday, we had the combination of, what did we have? We had the Knight of Cups in its reversal, the King of Cups in its reversal, the Page of Wands in its reversal. Everything was in its reversal. There was a lot of that navigating of the emotional overwhelm. Now we see feminine just like matching up with the masculine to a certain extent in that way, right? And again, this is having a different impact. And I see even now there's distance, there's energetic distance right now between masculine and feminine, but it doesn't feel negative. I have to stress this. It doesn't feel negative. It feels conscientious. It feels conscientious, and conscientious is healthy. Right? Because conscientious is not conscientious of the self. It is mindful of where the other energy is at. Right? I always like to point this out. Conscientious is recognizing not just the self, but where where others are at, right? That's what we say when we're like conscientious. For feminine and masculine, this is the similarity of these two energies right now. There's still, I would not, these are parallel lines. Do you see this? Do you see how these are parallel lines right now? So I would not be surprised if there isn't a lot of activity right now between masculine and feminine, because there's a heck of a lot of healing and introspection that is occurring right now, right? Now, both of these energies are kind of in the same space, but the way that they're experiencing it or feeling it, it is different, right? For masculine right now, it feels more energetically painful. Why? Because we see even now that this is the masculine. Remember what we were talking about, navigating the emotional territory, right? And that emotional territory is such the masculine is looking and observing upon the emotions as opposed to just acting out upon them, right? And when masculine is doing that, it feels painful, because this is the masculine that is looking at the emotions and saying, listen, be quiet for a minute. Are these the emotions of the ego, or are these the emotions of the higher self? Are these the emotions of the ego that demands the things that they want when they want them? Or is this the higher self that feels like there is something integral that is trying to be communicated through the emotions? So there's a lot of the masculine energy right now, and this is why I keep saying I want to know where Cancer is right now, that's going inwards in relationality to contemplation as to where the phone call is coming from. Like I see the masculine going, where is it coming from? Like trying to articulate as to whether it's the higher self that's like, this is why it bothers me, or if it's the energy of the egoic self that says, we need to protect like we need to protect ourselves. Like it's a cranky toddler energy. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of this work that we see even now. Feminine is doing much the same work. And the feminine is doing that work in recognizing and understanding their own standards and boundaries, right? This isn't the feminine. This is feminine feeling the volatility of their emotions against their own energetic standards. So we see even now that these energies navigating and finding those ways to articulate right now, this is a lot of that. Like this is a lot of that blockage that we see to a certain extent, but you'll recognize that it is a blockage that is leading to a sense of understanding within the self. Now, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, working through, and this is why I see even now, working through displeasure today, this is why it feels so frustrating, because this is the energy that are both navigating through displeasure points, right? But this is the energy that isn't articulating, and this is why the energy is keeping distance from one another. This is what we do, right? Have you ever noticed, like when you're in a space of mindfulness and you're energetically cranky, like you get away from another person because you're not in that modality of saying, I'm not feeling good and I'm going to make it my job to make everyone else feel like that. This is the energy that like almost like I want to say like self-isolates like self-isolates when they're in that state of crankiness, right? Because this is the energy that says, I don't want to spread that. Like I don't want to give that crankiness. I don't want to give that crankiness to those around, right? Like, so this is, I see even now, like this is the energy that's both feeling the same way and they're giving each other. This is a love that they're giving one another, because they're giving each other that space to feel like, to be like, to work through their own, energetic emotionality, right? Sometimes the gift that we do is not taking another person's like emotionality personally, right? This is what I mean. These are the energies that are not taking it personally. They're being respective of it. And so we see even now, like this is a lot of that energy working through and trying to navigate through those breakthrough points. And this is the gift that the energy says, because when we see someone frustrated, we don't add to their energetic frustration. You know, like I almost see a lot of the energy. Like I see a lot of the energy right now, like in divine union, be like walking in a room being like, and I'm going to go the other way. Like it's like that, like a little bit of that energy there, but that can be love. You understand that? Like that can be love when you're like, oh, no. like, you know, like I can see you're busy. Okay, no. I'm not gonna break your concentration. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is why the energy is going once. This is why the energy is feeling energetically cranky about something, potentially, and even articulating that crankiness towards one another, because this is the energy that is trying to articulate the difference between what others may expect from them versus what they're coming into. And this is why I see even now there may be some energy that, like, I want to say, like, around the energy coming into divine union that feels like they're on like thin ice. Why does it feel like the energy's on thin ice? Because they're observing something to say, was that a misconception? Or was that a desire for a different direction? Right? This is what, this is the energy that is like, you know, feeling that static and opening their eyes, right? They're not just like listening. They're not just listening to the chatter. They're observing it. And they're, just like we said, trying to identify where it's coming from. The ego or the higher self. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that looks towards one another and says, I trust you because you're trepidatious, right? I trust you because you're conscientious. This is the energy that's moving towards one another slowly, because this is the energy that doesn't take another slowness personally. This is also the energy that recognizes that they're not moving towards one another slowly because they're waiting for someone. This is the energy that is moving towards each other slowly because they're healing from someone. They're healing from something. And so a lot of that conscientiousness here, I just keep hearing conscientious, conscientious, because these are the energies that are conscientious in the care that they feel for the self, but also in recognizing and identifying where they may be finding a potential counterpart. So I see even now, again, I know that there's stillness here, but it's a healthy degree of stillness to a certain extent. Continuing to get clarification between our hangman in combination with our 10 of cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. A lot of, I want to say even now, a lot, but like what's really beautiful, and there's something very beautiful here for a lot of the energy of masculine and separation right now. I know it's uncomfortable. Like I can see a lot of the masculine energy right now in a modality of discomfort. But I see even now that a lot of the energy of the masculine in discomfiture is working through navigating, like I said, that introspection as to the demands of the egoic self versus the higher self. Like I can just see a lot of the masculine energy kind of parsing this out within the self right now to be able to articulate and amplify their own emotionality or their own feelings towards feminine. And, you know, I think what's interesting about this right now is a lot of that energy of masculine in separation. Like this is what's beautiful about it. This is the masculine energy in separation approaching feminine, not in a space that is prescriptive, right? This isn't the masculine energy that's trying to like, I want to say like suss out or infer what it is that the feminine wants. Like I see a lot of the masculine energy being like, how about instead of me trying to premeditate what the feminine desires, I just ask them what they desire. Like I can just see a lot of the masculine being like, why don't I just ask? And I can hear the ego going, no. And the masculine being like, but why? And being like, I see a little bit of the egoic self going, like not being able to explain, right? And that moment, right, when we ask ourselves, I need to point this out, that moment that we ask ourselves a question that we can't answer, congratulations, you just found your ego, right? That's the alarm system, right? That's the energy going, well, why can't we just ask them? And then being like, no, like that's the alarm system. So I see even now like that ability of doing so. Like there's a lot of this energy here of masculine that's moving towards feminine and saying, you know, like that it's that sense of like childlike wonder and curiosity that's forging a lot of these connections. And that isn't the masculine that's like waiting for feminine to kind of take the first move to a certain extent. That is masculine that is approaching feminine with a space or place of openness as it relates to one's desire, but like like offering, like it's giving me kind of like a shall we dance energy, right? Which is like the inference of what you would desire, but also leaving it up, like leaving the choice up to the feminine kind of, right? Like that's what's interesting about like something like that. You articulate, the masculine is articulating what they would desire, but not in a way of trying to pressure the feminine energy, as it were, right? There's like, this is a lot of the masculine that's building into, I want to say, healthy communication with feminine, but it requires, like I keep saying, it requires subtlety. Like it requires, like there's a lot of that sense or that space, because this is the masculine energy that is conscientious. And when we're conscientious, it's not about our needs. It's being attentive towards the energy and connection as well, right? It's like a lot of that would you like to play kind of energy instead of like, I want to play. Like now for feminine energy right now in separation, I see that a lot of the feminine energy in separation right now this is that same sense of trepidation, because if this is the feminine that identifies and recognizes the masculine moving towards them with that conscientiousness, this is how the feminine energy feels seen, safe, seen, supported, because this is the masculine that says, I have needs, I have desires, but I'm not letting my needs and my desires override my ability to see you, right? This is the masculine energy that's moving towards feminine with a lot of that intentionality, and that's subtle and slow, but it's also very, it's very, I want to say very conscientious. Like again, the word conscientious just keeps rising forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy, and there's a lot of this consideration that I see right now for energy and separation, you know? That's why I see even now a lot of this, like I want to say the heaviest pressure that I'm seeing right now is the energy coming into divine union. Because even now, I have to say, like, there's some fundamental shifts that are happening in the energy surrounding partnership right now for energy coming into divine union. Because like I said, if these are those modalities where someone is correcting another person's opinions or assumptions, I keep getting once. You get one. Because that ability of doing so is a difference between someone saying, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, I didn't recognize that something had changed. I didn't recognize that you had changed. Versus that feeling of someone trying to come into course correction, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, and that's why I see like the testing of the patience feels very hard right now for those energies, because this is the energy coming into divine union, recognizing the difference between feeling something personally, feeling the egoic self versus the integral self. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, so much of this work that I see that is occurring right now for the energy deep within divine union is amplified and articulated upon what that work is. Like, this is why the energy right now is almost like, I see even now the energy like companionate, like solitude here. Like, I really want to know where Cancer is sitting right now, because this is a lot of this energy that's kind of, you know, going into hermit mode, even in divine union. But this is the energy that's like going into hermit mode because it's allowing for that deeper exploration of the self. It's that comfortability you feel when you feel like you can kind of be in that mind, like that state of being energetically connected, but not needing to be like on top of each other every moment. You know what I mean? Like it's like giving each other space is how the energy is loving themselves right now, deep within divine union. And they're not taking that need for space personally, because they see that the energy is working through things in the process, right? Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Cups in its reversal and our Devil card in its reversal. This is a lot of healing that's happening right now today. One card to clarify. Woo! There it is, Tower energy. But I have to stress this. We've been seeing the Tower popping up in our readings. You'll recall this card that's now center, was bottom of the deck yesterday, right? So a lot of that work that we see, and this, I told you, this is the energy of the Sagittarius new moon. Tower energy is not necessarily a bad thing. I know that everyone has this context of being like, oh no, it's Tower. It's not a bad thing. It all depends on what's coming down. Like, you know, like in order for something new to come forward, something else needs to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's understanding the process. And I just want to show you something here that's important. We've got the Devil card in its reversal in combination with the Tower, right? So like this is, and we've got here like the 10 of Cups in its reversal with the Tower. So what are you seeing that's happening right here? This is the eradication of the energetic blockage, right? This is recognizing and getting to identifying, like finding, like I told you, like a little bit of that energy, which is like, you know, pushing through, like this is the like eradication of that blockage to a certain extent, specifically because this is the energy that, again, isn't allowing their frustration or their emotionality to steer them off of their energetic course. This is the energy that is getting intentional through the retrograde to identify like to identify what that obstacle is, right? That running back energy, so that you can overcome it, right? So I said even now, like, don't get frustrated during the retrograde, get focused. Don't get, don't fall apart, come together. Because even here I see that, like, recognizing what that is, it's helping you identify and overcome what needs to be overcome. Well, for a lot of this, and this is why the energy right now is giving one another space in divine union, because this is the energy that has the ability of not feeling like they need to spend every minute working on, like, the beauty of being in divine union is you don't have to spend every minute struggling about divine, like, about being in partnership. Like you got your hands free. So we see even now, like, a lot of that energy is just kind of focusing right now. And this is what they're doing. They're working on, like, how to overcome those energetic obstacles. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, a lot of this work, this is why I keep hearing someone go, you get one, right? Because if these are the energies that are bringing forward something that they've, like, this is energy coming into divine union that's been fixing something for months. We've been seeing that a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now has been healing something since, I want to say, all the way back where we saw that eclipse. Remember the eclipse cycle over the summer? This is the energy that's been tangibly doing that work together every step of the way. So that is why we see even now, like, if these are the energies that have been like they've been working on this, they've been patching holes, they've been remodeling, they've been doing all that repair work, and then they bring something forward and someone does not look at it with a sense of appreciation, if someone doesn't look at it with a piece of, like, a point of wonder, if someone looks at it and goes, this is why the energy is going, yeah, that, because this is the energy that says, it is little and it is broken, but it is still good. Like, this is the energy that says, this is like the craft project being like, I've been working on this for months. like that's why you have to look at it and be like that. Like, that is the appreciation of what it may look like on the outside, but, like, what it really is on the inside is fundamental, because this is the energy that's, like, been, like, fundamentally working on things. Look what I did. Well, for a lot of this energy in separation, this is how one feels in separation. This is why the energy is moving towards each other, because it's the same feeling, but with the self being like, I've been working on this. Like, this is the energy in separation. It's like, I'm a mess. Like, this is the energy. I feel like there's a lot of energy in separation being like, are you sure you want, like, maybe we should just cancel. I see a lot of energy being like, we should just cancel plans. Maybe we shouldn't do this. Like, I don't know if this is a good idea, because this is the energy right now that looks at the self and goes, I need work. Like, I need work, right? Because that's the energy that, like, has been working on the self. And when you're working on the self, you always feel like you need work. You're like, I'm a mess, right? And the energy's like, and this is the energy that's also in, like, in space, being like, I am also a mess. This is the energy saying, I like your mess. Like, I would like to see more of your mess, right? So there's energy here that's coming together with a messiness, but they're embracing each other at their messiest. And that's because they're coming towards each other in authenticity. And that's not the authenticity that says take it or leave it. I'm just going to be like this. I never change. You either like how you find me or you don't like how you find me, because I am perfect. No. This is the energy that says I'm a mess. I'm constantly working on myself. We're a work in progress over here, right? Like, this is the energy that's coming. Two energies are like, I am a work in progress, and being like, well, let's see if we can put our messes together and see what we find there. Continuing to get clarification between our Devil card and our Queen of Wands and its reversal. Devil card and its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands and its reversal. One card to clarify, please. We've got here our Justice card. You see this? This is, I know this message, this energy today stinks. It's gross. It's grimy. It feels like a lot of that Cancer crabbiness. It's like a lot of that, I don't wanna, right? I don't want anyone, no one's allowed to cancel plans today. All right? I don't care how you feel. Listen to me. I know you're thinking about it. No. If you got plans today with someone, you go ahead and do them. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your reasons. I don't want to hear your excuses. Get out of bed. Get your clothes on. Go. Okay? Because I see even now, like, there's a lot of this, like, the thing about this, there's a lot of this uncomfortability that, like, I can see even now, like, the energy being like, I can't. No. Like, I feel like even now, there's a little bit of that anxiety that I see here, because this is the energy that's learning to build trust. right? This is the energy that's learning, like, and it's stepping, and in order to build trust here, I see a lot of this energy saying, in order to build trust, I have to step out of my comfort zone. If I have wounds of trust, it's okay to like take that step forward to a certain extent. And this is the energy that, like, this is the energy that's like, not like, like taking those, like, how do you build trust? One tiny step at a time, right? Like that, like, how do you swallow a whale? Same way you swallow a mouse, one bite at a time. So we see even now, like, a lot of that anxiety that's coming through right now, it has to do with a lot of this, like, energy of feeling that sense of, like, I see a lot of energy that's ready, but they're saying to themselves, I'm not ready. Recognizing and identifying that to a certain extent, we're only ready when we say, I recognize I'll never feel ready. I'm just going to let myself be, right? We speak how we feel into being, because that's a difference of navigating our emotionality versus our intentionality, right? And a lot of it, even here, like, I can see it's difficult, but it's also like navigating that sense of integrity. While for masculine, and like, even here, like, I feel like I see your plans changing. I almost see energy in that space of being like, I don't feel like going out. So it's almost like it's giving me a lot of this, like I told you, like, cozy, comfy, like, let's do something casual kind of thing, like that displeasure right now. While for masculine, so if someone's trying to change plans with you right now, or stepping out of plans, try to like ease the plans up, is what I'm seeing around this. Because really, it's a lot of both masculine and feminine being in that state of like not wanting to like go to the trouble of like all like it's a lot of that, like, it's a lot of that like, it's a lot of that hermit, like, it's a lot of that like uncomfortable energy today that's hard to navigate. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union. And that's why, and that's why I see, even like, this is, listen to me, I'm going to tell you right now, this is why I'm going to say this to you today, because this is giving me a hermit in reversed energy, which it says to me, I can see someone canceling plans and then like immediately regretting that they canceled the plans. Like, it's that kind of uncomfortability that nothing feels energetically right. So like, again, don't get fickle today on it. Just like push yourself forward with intentionality. Masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. This is that prickliness for a good cause. This is the energy that's saying it's the principle of the thing. And this is why I see even now, if this is energy that's moving a partnership into a deeper level of commitment and someone's got sour grapes on it, the identification of someone looking at something with a state of not recognizing the quality or characteristic it is versus someone not desiring something to come towards something from a point that it's moving. This is why I see even now that it's either a modality of correction and explanation, or this could be like some severe energetic separations that are occurring for energy coming into partnership right now. And it has to do with recognizing the fundamental power of those connections. While masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, a lot of this work that I'm seeing today, it feels to me like giving each other the space to sort out one's own like difficulties or challenges. And this is the energy that, like, when we're moving forward in that way, we keep like kind of a healthy distance from one another because we don't want to distract one another in the process. And at the same time, I just see a lot of that energy deep within divine union, very focused on that work today. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Pentacles in combination with our Tower card in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Wands. Five of Wands and it's upright. So I told you, like, today, listen to me, don't be picking fights. I don't want anybody picking fights with anybody. And the thing is, everybody's crabby today. Like, it's crabby energy. It feels like everybody's trying to pick fights today. So just don't. If someone's trying to energetically pick a fight with you, don't match them energetically. have compassion for them potentially not navigating this energy in a way that they can internalize, but instead they're projecting. Because I see even now, like, working through that to a certain degree, like, like, it's hard. And I keep on seeing even now, there's a little bit of that work that's happening right now in relationality to the difference between what the ego, like, what feels like it creates frustration from the ego versus what feels like it creates frustration from the integral, right? And so I see even now, like, there's a lot of that work that's occurring in that modality. And that's hard, right? Because that could feel like a lot of internal conflict within the self or outside of the self, depending on whether, and this is why I'm saying, like, don't project that outside of the self today. And if you're experiencing it, remember that don't let someone else projecting it out on you. Don't take it personally. Be compassionate, but don't be reactive to it. Let it just reaffirm your own intentionality. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our Tower card in its upright and our Justice card in its reversal. And this is what I mean. This is what I'm bothered about. This is these two cards together. This is frustrating. Like, this is frustrating stuff, because this is what I see about, like, volatility as it relates to something that feels like it is integral. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through. You see that? You see the little angel? Temperance. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything I want to say right now. Like, don't be evil. Don't. Just because you're experiencing something, the buck, like, you can stop. It all can stop. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care who started it. I'm going to say it again. I feel like I've had to say this a lot this week. Okay. I don't care who started it. I don't care if you feel validated. Okay. I want you to remember the difference between you having a right to versus knowing what is right. Okay. I am telling you right now. Okay. You remember. Okay. You remember what I'm telling you right now. You can be the change, like, be the change today that you want to see around you, because there's so much of this energetic provocation that requires a little bit of internal alchemy in terms of feeling something and being like, that's not fair. And you're right. It's not fair. I'm going to tell you right now, things you may be experiencing today might not feel fair. Our job is not to arbitrate fairness. Our job is to act in accordance to what we believe to be, right? That is something that we can always find within ourselves, regardless of what we're experiencing around us. We can be that force of change. So allow that to kind of like let that be that focal point. Connect to the higher self, not what the ego is demanding today. Okay? Continuing, final card for today's spread, and that's across all the frequencies. Final card for today's spread between our Five of Wands in combination with our Temperance card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Swords in its upright. So again, more of that same work that we're seeing today. Now, I need to stress this. When we're frustrated, and this is why we see that there's that point of introspection today. How do we navigate and articulate where we feel that sense of being able to recognize where our emotions are? This is all a lesson today about healthy emotions. It doesn't require you to move away from your emotions entirely. That's silly, right? Recognizing the difference to the emotions that rise up from the ego, right? The emotions that demand something because the ego wants things when they want things, and then the ego wants things when they want things, and they want them now, and they only want them one way, and they don't care about anything else. They just want the thing they want, right? The higher self feels that sense of energetic frustration because something integral is feeling like it's trying to move you off your own alignment. So that ability of feeling that today, recognizing and identifying the nuance of that work, this is the energy that's working through facilitating the feelings of frustration that feel valid, right? The validation point, because it feels like the emotions that rise up in relationality to something that feels like it is a core principle, right? versus the emotions that feel like they're energetically reactive because the ego is demanding and wants something that it isn't energetically immediately receiving. So make sure that you're not just moving in the space of the emotions today. Make sure that you're introspecting upon them. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, particularly with the Eight of Wands in its reversal, this potentially could have a lot to do in the realms of communication. To add to all of that, I'm also going to say don't assume anything at this time. Don't make any assumptions, because communication right now is dodgy, right? We're in the retrograde cycles. Communication, things don't move as quickly as they do. Don't assume anything when we're going through retrograde cycles. Double check. Measure twice, cut once. Don't just run off of an energetic assumption. Allow for that sense of introspection. Allow for that sense of clarification. Come into those points of clarification instead of just experiencing communication blockages and allowing oneself to just again, like that false start energy of getting over emotional about something that you didn't need to get overly emotional about, right? So just be conscientious of that today. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never inbox you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Chariot card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be exploring the Strength card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber, gracestrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription will not only be your ticket of entry into each class every month, but you will also have access to the full Tarot Church library of all of the previous classes that we have studied thus far. That's about 8 hours worth of learning materials that are for you as a subscriber. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far or anything that we're currently learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize both the classes and your own personal practice to reach your tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's something there for everyone. So regardless of your level, you're welcome to join us. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, make sure that you head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel, because there you will find a very special coupon code that will give you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I post my weekly newsletter there that will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also have access to our giveaway information. Speaking of giveaways, we are in I'm going to be announcing the winner of our November giveaway this week. Thank you to everybody who participated. Finally, I want to let you guys, and you can find out that winner when I announce it over on Substack. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These classes are focused are for my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. These classes can be focused on whatever area of personal growth or spiritual development you are most invested in learning about. These classes can also be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent tarot support on your day-to-day journey, I offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.